So about 1 hour and a half before the sun sets, the rain ended and then the doorbell rang. My crash bars and skid plates are here. We're gonna start with the crash bars because it's really easy. And yes, I paid my own money. Here's how it mounts up. Once I've mounted it up, I will show you why I picked SW-Motech. I don't have affiliate links for them as of right now, though if I do, check the description in the future. It was the lightest choice that does not have a cross brace. I'll show you what that means in a moment. But again, for the installation, just follow the instructions. The main focus of this video is gonna be the skid plate, but I'll be back when the crash bars are done. There it is. The small bolts go here and down here. Those were already open. And then this main bolt goes through into the engine, but through the frame. It's a very large and robust bolt. You only have to remove this plastic to bend it out of the way. We're 10 minutes into the project. I have used SW-Motechs. I've crashed them. I've seen people crash them at street speed, so I trust them. But the main reason I picked it, I don't need both sides to show you. See how it ends here? What I want to do with my custom builds, I don't want anything up here. So these are just over 3 kilo. They weigh a lot less than Outback Motech. They were cheaper. They are so light in the hand. They really do feel like less than 2 kilo each. It's not a huge amount of weight. It's not too high. It's not too obtrusive. It's still more narrow than the bars, even at full steering lock, so I'm not afraid of filtering. But one thing you could do with these bars, I am not saying you should, but if you really want to save weight, this little rubber piece here, so it comes here, this is, I assume, to mount auxiliary lights. But if you cut the frame back here, you'd still have a solid angle for sliding, and this cannot be adding much in the way of protection and strength because the radiator is so far in. I could just cut a few 100 grams off right here and move this rubber piece right up here. I don't know if I'm going to be that weight petty right away. Just don't cut the actual weld itself. Since these main bolts go into the engine block, I did one side at a time, and I would recommend that. You don't want to drop your engine. That would suck. But I'm not supporting the engine. I'm not bracing the engine. I don't see the need. It's not that critical. Just do it one side at a time. When removing this side, if you see that space, here's the spacer. There was no spacer on the other side. I don't know why. There's a spacer on this side, so be careful to catch it and put it back in. The other side's on. There's definitely a little bit of flex in the bars, but I would consider that a good thing. If it's too rigid, it sends all that weight into the frame and all that weight into the engine. I'd rather the bars be destroyed than the engine. They're like $200. The engine and the frame's a lot more than $200. Long term, I don't know if I'm actually going to be using crash bars once the custom build gets underway. So one thing about these crash bars, and I believe it's true for every single one for this bike, but if you see this brace, they all have the one that comes out here and goes through this main nut. This is plastic, everything's plastic. Now you got this giant steel bar. So if you don't have some proper knee guards and possibly some motocross boots, some serious boots, not ADV by name, but ADV by function, I could imagine a very desperately damaged shin bone. Pros and cons, the bike is now safer to some extent. Could be a risk to the rider. I am sure I'm overthinking it. That's all I've got to say on the crash bars. So the next thing we'll do, I will show you what I don't like about AXP, why I got AXP, and how I'm going to fix it. I may forget this. AXP, I do have an affiliate link for Japan, Europe, and in the US, the Moose Racing on Revzilla is the same skid plate, just different stickers. If you want to use my affiliate links and get the exact same thing at no extra cost, it really does support the channel in a big way. And then there's Patreon and GoFundMe and all that. So here's the QR code for the AXP plate, because I'm trying to figure out where exactly to put this foam piece. And QR code does not exist. So that's very impressively. This is the AXP skid plate. There's a couple problems with it, and I'll give you one reason that it's definitely the best choice. It's plastic. It's HDPE, which is arguably the better choice for overall use, but the issues it has, this part of the skid plate stops before the catalytic converter. The catalytic converter comes back to here. Why would you protect 50% of a catalytic converter? Now, in their defense, that seems to be what almost everyone is doing, except for, I believe, T-Rex Racing. But I don't care what everyone's doing. I care about my bike. And by the way, this part was already put on when it arrived. The other thing is the linkage guard is not covered by this whatsoever. And on my Transalp, there's plenty of scratches, and I actually hooked my linkage guard on a rock once, which was a bit of a challenge. So I'm going to make this cut out to fit here, drill 2 new holes here and here, use the same hole through this mount, and it's going to extend to cover the linkage guard and everything. I haven't measured how far back I need to go here yet, so we'll get to that tomorrow. Now, this is the same material. This is 8 mil thick. This is 6 mil thick. It's not going to take major impacts as is. I'm not too worried. Now, a warning, everything at your own risk. I have to cut 6 mil off this to fit it the way I'm going to do it. This is mine. I bought it with my own money. I am cutting my own. We'll see how AXP feels about all of this. Now, I have a Dremel I can use to cut this out, but this part specifically, I want to be extremely perfect. So I'm going to do it very slowly with a handsaw. And it's worth noting, none of these holes were centered and straight. I have to work around the imperfections that it came with. But that's as deep as that has to cut. Now I gotta cut this. I'm cutting the inside of the line to the best of my ability. Again, this is the one line that has to be perfectly, completely, absolutely straight. There it is, straight as I can get it by hand.
What?
So next we cut this to fit in that, drill the holes afterwards when it's all lined up. Save this piece for something in the future. Don't cut towards your hands, but I'm going to cut towards my hand. Small cleanup break. That's exactly what I wanted. Good. This not being perfectly aligned, that's not a mistake. I did that on purpose. I just wanted to make sure we're definitely clear. I don't need extra plastic. Everything over here is doing nothing for protection. I'm gonna put a bolt down here and here. Then I'm gonna run the same bolt through here. I just gotta drill it once again. And then this piece, all it actually was a pressure against the frame. So it's just pinching one extra piece of plastic in between it. Same kind of plastic, so it shouldn't make a difference. We'll find out if I'm wrong in the future. Everything's an M6, we're sticking to that. Over the trash can, so it's just one less thing to clean. Doesn't move, it's solid. Flip it over. See, it's all flush. I think it's time to call it a night. This has worked out quite well, and I don't want to press my luck. So this is just a test fit. I won't run the fronts, but if you look back here, as far as the linkage is concerned, I would say that's actually the length I want. I won't cut it at all. And then on this side, we just need to do the heated tape. So now I'll take it back off and I'll do that. I know I want this corner and the other corner. Countersunk bolts. I'm gonna need to flush that out of it. This is a 10. I'm gonna call that good enough. Now I'm gonna run to the store to get these exact same bolts and some lock nuts and washers to match. I'm on my way home from the hardware store. Unfortunately, Japanese hardware stores don't have really good stock. So I got the washers and the nuts, but I'm going to have to order the countersunk bolts on Amazon. There's affiliate links in the description for everything, but do use your local hardware store if you can support them so they can afford to have stock of stuff rather than making me wait 2 days. That's my heat shield, bit overdone. Having it go over this side is just to pinch it in place. Why not? Can't hurt. Definitely can't help on this side, but it can't hurt. And now I'm gonna bolt it back in place, but first we have to fix this hole. Stay with me. And just breathe. When I die, I keep it on the other side. Is this overkill with the heat resistant tape? Possibly, but isn't this whole thing overkill? And now if you look from this side, perfectly flush like everything else. There's no distinguishability from the original AXP. So these are M6 by 20. Obviously that's too long. I don't want it to hit the exhaust. This side doesn't matter as much, but I'm just gonna cut them. What I'll link in the description will be the M6 by 15, which should be the proper length. The reason I'm using a handsaw is because the angle grinder is gonna heat this and we don't want to heat the plastic. There we go. Now we'll do the other side. There we go. I am going to add Loctite to these 4 bolts. They're the only things that are not nylock or locked in place. I can't imagine why I'd want them to fall out. Loctite can create issues with plastic, so I'm actually adding the Loctite from this side so that it doesn't touch the plastic. You have been warned. Before I mount it up to the bike, it is now done. If you want the measurements for this piece and how much I cut off this, I will put it for free on my Patreon. You just have to go become a free member. There it is. That's it. And Patreon's linked in the description. You can also be a paid member where you would have seen this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. So the one last thing I'm changing about it, I am using the blue Loctite, which comes in the red bottle because naturally. This is the bolt that comes with the plate for the rear mount right here. My problem with that is this is what goes in the front. So if we switch to these, same M6, 15 millimeters long, we can still use their washer. Now, when you take the skid plate off for oil changes, which I'll have to do in 700 kilometers, it's the same wrench. You don't need 2 wrenches, and these are just very easy to round and overdo. I don't like these, so I'm going to use this. And of course, put all 4 bolts in loosely and then tighten them. And this part is going stainless into proper steel. Remember that you're squishing plastic through to steel, so don't super crazy tighten. Countersunk hex, countersunk hex, countersunk hex. The whole thing is, except for right here, where they have standard bolts that are going to stick out, and right here's a countersunk hex. Why would they have the most likely place to catch and snag be the most stuck out bolt on the entire thing? Like, if this gets snapped off, I'm kind of screwed. How do I get it out of the frame? They had a hex key that I replaced here. Why not just keep this a hex like they did, but also have this be a countersunk mount up as well? I don't know. AXP, let me know what I'm misunderstanding. That's why we have Loctite. Up here, you can see it does fit with their foam pad and my knockoff GB Racing, and same on the other side. Extra protection for everything. So now that we have a final product, I'll show you from this side first. The hose still comes out in the same spot, nothing's changed. As far as durability, this frame brace is still doing exactly what it's done. This has a lot of flex, but if this comes down so far, I want it to flex. I want it to flex more than break. This is 6 mil, this is 8 mil, and the width is just right over here. It does not interfere with the chain. It's not below the chain at all. And the mounting is exactly the same as what AXP designed. 4 bolts, this doesn't change it. Now I'll go around to the front to show you what I was considering. So this is the front protector. It's thick, it's the same material as this, same density, same thickness. However, it only comes this high. On my trans out, it came up to here. I haven't made it. I was thinking of making a piece that goes right up to here to protect against the mud and everything. If you look at Matt ADV, these are some screen grabs from his video. It fills with mud, and here's what his rust looks like after 1 year. This is not 304 stainless. I believe this is a 400 series, so it will surface rust, but it won't rust internally. The conclusion we came to is it's maybe better to have the airflow because this is plastic and we don't want to melt it. So that's what the airflow is for. This is a liquid-cooled bike. If it gets so bad that it rusts a hole in it, then we can figure that out from there, but that might just be an excuse to upgrade to a full system with a properly 304 stainless header. Now, you can see on this side real quick how it goes up to the GB Racing. These crash bars really are just protecting plastic and then a rare high drop for the radiator. So you could argue that you don't actually need the crash bars. I'm gonna keep them for now. Coming to this side, same thing here. It's double protection. On this side, we can talk about the exhaust. So if you can see here, this is the end of their plate. And extend to here, there's your catalyzer. So I have, with the trans out, not just the double R, I've gone over concrete slabs, I've gone over rocks where it catches the skid plate and I slide off, and then it drops straight down and it smashed my linkage, which you can see here I'm now protecting. But on the trans up I didn't, so there was actually scratches and gouges in the linkage. And here it pops off and boom, there's your catalyzer completely corking up your exhaust. So you need a brand new exhaust, or you could just extend this by a little over half a finger length. And as far as this bolt shouldn't hit the catalyzer more than what would be a scratch, but if I flex this enough to smash the catalyzer, I think we're beyond worrying about this bolt or nut. And if you see here, this is the lowest part of the catalyzer and this is the nut, so it really shouldn't impact. And hopefully I don't have to find out that I'm wrong. But the angle, it's actually coming back up. So it really should not be a problem. As far as this heat tape and this heat protection, does it need to come this far back? No, it can't be 20 grams, it's just tape. If it doesn't work and this starts to melt, I will let you guys know with a pinned comment. And if it really does bad and melts up here too, well, I didn't take the AXP protective stuff off. So the fundamental plate that is from AXP, that won't be damaged. And the only holes that could cause any damage that I've created, if you can see, it's all the way at the very back. So I've shortened it by a centimeter. That is it, just a centimeter. So the risk really doesn't exist. The idea is flexibility. Why I got plastic, some people say plastic doesn't work. I would not have gotten it on the trans out because it mounts all to the engine with the braces. I'm not saying it doesn't work, I'm saying it's a risk I don't want. But here we have frame rails like on a Tenere and many other bikes. The crash bars I got for the trans out, they worked like frame rails, but then they had to work with their skid plate, so we had aluminum. And the idea that aluminum gouges and catches on rocks, I can guarantee that's true. This flexes and comes back, and it slips. Slipping over the rocks will be better. I've gotten caught on rocks even with the double R where I had to figure out how to pull the bike off. This would have just slid to one side, which I think would have been better. Looking from this side where we can go through the criticisms I'm sure are gonna come up over this, there's gonna be the statement that this is too flimsy to protect against impact, because look what I can do right there. The point is not to protect against impact. The point is that this is where the impact's again. I'm not gonna wheelie straight into the linkage, because I can't really wheelie. This is the part that's going to do all the protecting. So we're trusting AXP or we're not. This is just for that last bit of slippage to slip over the barriers and the rocks and everything that I find in the Japanese forest. And again. The skid plate works. Right here, skid plate just boom. This is tough. Weight back, let the front float, let the front float. Whoops, stuck in a track, stuck in a track, stuck in a track. Go, 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 go. So that's how deep I am. The next one's going to be that all of this wasted a huge amount of time and effort and money, which, yeah, maybe. We'll find out. However, I would rather a skid plate that completely protects the bike instead of mostly protects the bike. Feel free to partially protect yours. Whoop! There's the bottom. The next comment that comes up in every DIY video is I've ruined the bike. Like when I made that top rack for the Transalp, I ruined the bike because I bolted on a piece exactly where OEM bolts on, and then I unbolted it, aka ruined. But before we sit here pretending that I've invented the idea of a linkage guard, you know who has linkage guards on these big bikes? AXP. Tenere 700, 790, and 890 KTM. Leave the Aprilia 660, they all have linkage guards. They just chose not to give it to this and not to give it to the Transalp. And just a little public service announcement, for all of you that keep saying I'm ruining the bike every time I do a modification, you need to stop pretending I'm the first person in the history of motorcycles to modify a bike. You need to stop pretending that the makers know exactly what they're doing. For example, the existence of AXP, this is the OEM skid plate. It is a millimeter thick polypropylene. It is a rock deflector at best, aesthetic at most. AXP is not an old company. I think they're less than 20 years old, or just at. So they said the aluminum skid plates were a problem, and they came out with this. I didn't invent the idea of a plastic skid plate, and I don't know that they did either. They just invented this style and this approach to it. The entire existence of custom motorcycles and innovation is not to say that the manufacturers are wrong. It's to say, I think I can do it better, and that's why you own a motorcycle instead of a horse. AXP includes these cool stickers that are supposed to go, I think, here. Funny, they cut out the sticker to fit, but they didn't cut out the foam to fit. You got to do that yourself. I'm not going to put these stickers on because AXP told me they can't really sponsor any riders, and I don't actually understand the fashion of covering your bike with these brands and stickers like Fox and Michelin and all that. You're paying for their sticker to advertise their product for them. You know, I like riding. This is a hobby. It's fun, but I'm not putting the stickers on. I want to take stickers off this bike. I'm not going to pay a company for their part to then advertise their part for them. You do what you want with your own bike. Okay, this next part's gonna need a trigger warning for some of you. Viewer beware. I've covered the Motech logo with this slider. This slider's down here, and reflective tape. Yellow on yellow, it's good enough for me. And up here. Now, in my defense, I live in a part of the city that is famous for drink driving. I've seen at least 6 drink drivers this year, and it's only February. And running red lights, they just ran a red light right now. Running red lights is the norm, not the exception. Stopping at red lights is a question mark. I've actually pulled my daughter when we were having the right of way on a crosswalk with us having a green light, car having a red light, out of the way of a car that's just going straight through. And the only people that get offended by me saying this are foreigners that live here, and everyone from Osaka is like, yes, that's Osaka, welcome to Osaka. Best protection in a crash is to be seen and not get in the crash in the first place. And just a happy little triangle back here. My general philosophy on reflectivity, I put it to the side, not the front and the back, because I trust the headlight and the brake light. If they don't see that, they don't see me. There's nothing I can do. But the idea is that if I have a serious crash, a massive injury or worse, I at least want it to be my fault. Keep as much in my control as possible. If you don't think this looks good, fine, but are you giving too much control to other drivers? Now, because this isn't working well, and there's no form of grip whatsoever on these things, though these ones look nice, I'm going to replace this with this clear pad and get more coverage. Nearly zero effort, it came off. I just wiped it down with acetone. These, now I'm wondering how long they'll last, but there's going to be some overlap with what I'm putting on. I'm going to go below the seat line so it's full coverage, so I don't scratch up the tank while moving around off-road. I used it on the Transalp, and after a year, there was no discoloration. It was still perfectly clear, and the tank was in perfect condition when I took it off. So I cut it to fit right here. Good overlap with the seat, good overlap with everything I need to protect. I might put another piece up here. I haven't decided. It stretches a lot. It does not need heat. I'm just going to put it on now. Now I'm going to try to cut out the overlap very carefully. I cut along this black edge, so there's still an overlap. If I cut too deep, I only cut the pad that's not necessarily a very good pad anyways, but I didn't. I cut where I didn't get deep enough, and then I just peeled it off. I'll do the other side. Seat back in place, we have full coverage. I think I will put a strip up here. From this far away, which is about where my head would sit on the bike, it's obviously unnoticeable looking forward. But the crease doesn't look good? No. Could I have done one solid piece? Maybe. But if you get close enough, you see that there's a bunch of imperfections and fingerprints inside because my hands weren't clean. I don't care. Let's not sweat the little things. This is just because it's a steel tank that I don't need to scratch up and rust. And if there comes a point where I'm selling it, it's going to be in pretty good shape. Again, sorry for the construction sounds. If I make a custom tank, I'll probably sell this one. Otherwise, I might keep this tank. I haven't decided what to do. I'll show you what it looks like with me on it, and I will point to where the edge of this is. The entire hump up to here and down here, that's the edge of the protection. I don't necessarily recommend hopping on your bike when it's on the stand in the back. Everything you see on the bike now, if it wasn't in the video today, it was in the previous video. And for the future, I will make a playlist that I'll link in the description that has every single thing going on the bike. So it's just a one-stop shop. Every question is answered in those videos. I destroyed my hat while working, so now I got this. It's an old hat. I used to draw hats. I don't even let clothes stay stock. So if AXP holds up, great. If it doesn't hold up, the original idea, I just didn't have the time, space, or money. I was going to use the OEM skid plate to build a mold for a skid plate made of carbon fiber and hemp. If that's something you guys are interested in, I can do that. For now, AXP fits. It's gonna work, I think. I can make it a bit lighter and cover perfectly what I want. Let me know. Long term, I might do that either way, just to fit the custom tank design. But if I don't do the custom tank design, we'll just stick to AXP. Now, I'm sure at this point, there's still some criticisms coming out, and some of them are rightful. You should be critical of people like me. I'm some stranger on the internet. You don't know if I'm lying about working for Yamaha. You don't know if I'm lying about building custom motorcycles at Cherry's company. I might be AI. I haven't even figured out if I'm AI myself. As far as modifying the bike, everything's at your own risk. I do still have the plans and the idea, if we can fund it, to modify this bike significantly, doing a full custom fairing, a full custom rear frame and everything, and quite possibly a full custom tank to get this well below 200 kilo, wet, fully fueled, still 20 liters. The only mods left will be Viridian Cruise, eventually heated grips, and tubeless with the different tires, and potentially suspension. I have not decided if I want better suspension or not, but again, in Japan, I can go to a pro race company, Technics, for less than $1,000, front and rear combined with shipping. Things are very cheap in Japan. These tires, turns out the idea that I was worried there might be a recall issue with these, they actually already have a little bit of unbelievable wear for 300 kilometers, and they're already starting to get a flat spot in the center. These are the stock tires after only 400 kilometers, and if you can see, there has been zero dirt so far. I'm about to get in the dirt, but I don't think these will last at all. I can't believe how much the ABS activates under moderate braking. So I will use up these tires, but I don't think they'll last a month. But I am using the full chicken strip, so I can use this bike as aggressively on-road as I could the Transalp. If we don't do a custom build, I have the heated grips, just not on the bike yet. I have Viridian Cruise, just not on the bike yet, but the affiliate link that gives you a 12% discount is in the description already. Tail tidy is something I will custom build sooner or later, but I might actually just wait till I snap something off. If I don't do a full custom build, I will put the same lights as the Transalp mounted to the fork. You can see right here, because the brake lines are back here, and this is so far up here, it won't hit anything. I've already measured it all out. So it would just mount here, the clamp will be 20 bucks, and then just use the same exact kit, the same exact way, and run it in the same situation. And use that special blue wire to hook it up to the high beam switch. As a normal person, the bike is pretty darn near complete. Time to ride it and use it and enjoy it and learn from it. Doing those things aside, from now on, it's all about the custom build. So with everything I took off in the first parts video and everything I've added, I am 1 or 2 kilo below stock weight. As you see the bike here, not counting the luggage. But if you guys don't want to help fund the build and I can't find the money myself and we'd rather just go on adventures and ride, I'm very, very, very satisfied with this bike so far. I've put almost 400 kilometers on it in the twisty mountains, some of my favorite roads. Yeah, from now on, like, the tail tidy will be my own DIY, the seat will be my own DIY. Patreon, use the affiliates in this video and all my videos. They don't cost you anything. Some of them give you discounts. And the GoFundMe. We'll see how everything goes. But till next time, I think I've rambled enough. I need to clean up. Bye-bye. Bicycle, bicycle, I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like.